Hello and welcome to another episode of the 911 Strong podcast. Today we're going to discuss the 10th suicide this year over at the NYPD. And we're going to discuss a little bit more about the culture of life at the police station. Is it like high school? Well, we'll talk about that and a lot more on the next episode of the 911 Strong podcast.
Station to all units.
Prepare to copy.
You're listening to the 911 Strong podcast.
Don't act like I never told you.
With Aram and Kristen, bringing you stimulating discussion.
No, I like the sound of that.
An entertaining conversation.
And now, here's Kristen and Aram.
Hi friends, we're back at the 911 Strong podcast. With me as always is my co-host Kristen.
Hey, how's it going?
Kristen, I noticed you're wearing your red shirt from Dangerous But Good.
I am.
Remembering everyone deployed.
Yes, and I noticed you're also wearing your Dangerous But Good America shirt.
Dangerous But Good's been very good to us. Not only do they support America's military and law enforcement, they help bring awareness to the suicides that are affecting our military. They're part of the Mission 22 and donate a lot of money to charity in that vein. And so if you follow us on social media, you know we talk a lot about the real issues that hit law enforcement and the military. And today, we're going to discuss the 10th suicide that's affected the NYPD this year. Yeah. And the NYPD is getting a lot of attention because, I mean, we're only 10 months into 2019 and they've experienced 10 suicides, and they had a whopping 8 in August. So we're wondering what's going on with the culture over there, and it's all going to be speculation, but we can give an educated guess based on our experience in law enforcement. And in our pre-show, we discussed how law enforcement, being in a law enforcement setting, whether it's at station or even a law enforcement group chat on social media, it's a lot like high school, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's a little bit worse than high school.
Yeah, because now it's instead of pouty kids, you'd expect that behavior from.
Yeah.
It's pouty adults, and we're supposed to be mature, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So what's going on in the? Why do you think that high school mentality manifests itself in a professional environment?
I have no idea. I can't really wrap my head around it. I mean, maybe it's because we basically live there, and we are kind of like a dysfunctional family that you want to talk about something maybe outside of work, but it's draining and it's exhausting, and it never stops. There's always one story to the next story.
Yeah. We were reading just a little bit ahead of the 10th suicide. There was another sergeant from the NYPD. He was Sergeant Gates, who recently had his badge and ID taken from him after he said he needed to get the department ordered him to get a psychiatric evaluation, which I guess makes a little sense, right? Especially because we don't know what the details were as to why he sought psychiatric evaluation. But if it had something to do with him hurting himself, and as touchy as the NYPD has been lately with suicides, do you think it's a good idea to take his gun and badge from him?
It's so sensitive. I mean, obviously you do if he's contemplating harming himself. Yeah. But at the same time, if they're seeking help for anything other than that and they take it away and treat them as a punishment, then no, because then you're just making that thought worse. Right. You know, you're scolding them for trying to get help and trying to get better.
Well, the story gets even funkier from there because he alleged that the very people that were trying to help him were actually bullying him. And that is a disturbing trend that we're reading about, because if we fast forward to Sergeant Lee, another sergeant at the NYPD, the 10th suicide, his wife said that he would tell her stories at home about how happy his home life was, about how he dreaded work because they constantly bullied him.
Yeah.
Do you see any of that? Have you seen any of that? I guess without naming names and getting into trouble, and not specifically at our agency, but just in law enforcement.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's just the culture itself. Like, I think they forget that we're human and we have feelings, and the old school mentality is to suck it up and shut up and have a thick skin and just deal with it and move on and don't make waves. And if you make waves, then everybody's eyes are on you and they want to quiet you, basically.
Yeah, you make a good point when you say old school mentality, because we're kind of caught in the middle, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so.
We're coming off of having half of our career supervised by people that were part of the 70s and 80s where they weren't as sensitive, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
But we're also experiencing the new half of our career with what's described as, Generation Z and the millennials who maybe have the reputation of being a little bit more sensitive. Do you think there's a clash there between the old guard and the new guard?
Yeah, because the older ones are now more top ranking, and the new ones that are coming in are the more sensitive, I think, more open to talking about things and about the issues, and the old ones aren't. And they're hesitant to change. The old ones don't like change, and it's worked for them, so it should work for everybody else.
Right.
And they're not really forward future thinkers. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, you're right. Some of them are stuck in the old school mentality. I talked to you before about how some of the activity I do on social media isn't really received well by some in our administration.
Yeah.
And then there are others that see what it's worth and embrace it. So we can't please everybody. Maybe that's the problem with our new generation. Do you think that they want everybody to like them, and when somebody doesn't like them or agree with them, that it throws them off?
Yeah, I think to that extent. I mean, you have to realize that this is a job first.
Right.
And if there's a friendship that comes after that, then there's a friendship that comes after that.
Yeah.
But not everybody is going to be your friend. And that's okay. As long as they're your partner and they have your back when you're doing the job, that's what truly matters. Like, you can completely despise somebody outside of work, but while they're at work, they have your back and they do what they need to do. And that makes them a good work partner. Everything doesn't always have to mesh. We're not always going to be one big happy family.
No, you're right. You bring up a good point. We're professionals at the end of the day, and we're supposed to act like professionals. And especially at a large agency, we can't be friends with everybody. And because of that phenomenon, the fact that you can't be friends with everybody, that's how cliques form.
Yeah.
But not everybody's part of a clique. Yeah, I guess the equivalent to that in high school would be as if you would call somebody a loner.
Yeah.
They don't belong to the jocks. They don't belong to the nerds.
Yeah.
They're a loner, and that's completely fine. There are times where I just don't want to hang out with anybody on a Friday night. I just want to be a homebody and catch up on TV or watch the latest episode of the 911 Strong podcast on YouTube.
Shameless plug.
But seriously, you're going to find cliques wherever you go, especially in a larger group setting. You'll find it in professional settings in offices. Look at the political arena. You're either part of the Democrats or the Republicans, and even within the Democrats, there's the squad, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's foolish to think that cliques don't exist in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And to be excluded from that, though, I mean, I know, I just knowing you as a person, I know you're really thick-skinned. You're not going to be offended if you're not included in a certain group's activities.
No.
But have you been told, like it's no secret that our families hang out a lot.
Yeah.
But have people come up to you to express their, I don't know, I don't want to say jealousy, but like they kind of throw jabs that they weren't included?
Yeah, they kind of do undermining jabs about it. Like, oh, I see we're on another trip with Aram. Yeah. And maybe there's some underlying tone to it. Maybe it's just joking, but I just roll it off my back. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, some people you just have chemistry with and some you don't. And just like cliques, I know it's really meant to be like such a derogatory word about friendships, but it's not. It's not. Like, I don't like using the word clique, but that's just your friend group. That's it. Right. Now, if you're using it to like bully other people and talk down about them, then that's a whole other thing. But, it's just these groups are different groups that have chemistry in them. And I'm friends with some people that have their own tighter group of friends. And I know it's not the same type of friendship, and that's okay. Like, you can be friends with a bunch of people that aren't friends with my friends. It's let them make their own choice. And
the Bible actually says that's okay, because in Proverbs 18, verse 24, one with many friends may be harmed, but there is a friend who stays closer than a brother. Better a poor person. Oh, I'm going to 19. But, it's talking about keeping, your group of friends tight. Yeah. You don't necessarily have to have a huge group of friends because you can't really control the gossip that happens behind the table. So, I think as we get older, our circle of friends thin out. Yeah. Because we've, based on experiences, know who we can rely on. Yeah. Like, I know at any given moment, if I'm stuck down the hill or stuck doing something, you would have no problem. We live 45 minutes away. you'd have no problem coming up here, you or Danny, and taking care of my kids.
Yeah.
And, that's sad that I have people that are closer to me that I can't count on to do that.
Right. But you learn that through years' experience.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think it's maybe some of the younger officers? Because this sergeant, he was a young sergeant. He was 33 at the NYPD.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe it's because of life inexperience, that maybe they don't know how to handle these things? And, when you're exposed to something so broad like that, it's just overwhelming.
It could be. I mean, it could be so many different factors. We don't know. I mean, look at what our world's instituting with the whole participation trophy.
Oh, I know.
I don't agree with that.
Right.
I get their point. You don't want your kids to be upset, but at the same time, it's about hard work.
Yeah.
You're not just given it. It's not just, you have to earn it.
Why is that so taboo when we disagree with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll disagree with people that want to include participation trophies, and they get all offended. Well, I don't want my son. Just this past week, we weren't camping. We were camping at a Halloween event, and there's a lot of competitions at this event that we were at. And our kids, this is the third year in a row our kids dominated.
We do kind of have a little clan of kids, though.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, but we have really competitive kids, and they take home the medals. And there's, unfortunately for some parents, there's only a first, second, and third.
Yes.
And our kids are either getting first, second, or third.
Yeah.
And there was that one there was this one event where it was age 11 and younger. And it was a bone toss event where the kids had to stand at a certain line and toss these bones into a cauldron. And there was this one mom, I hope she's not a listener, but there was this one mom. She would have recognized us, actually.
That's all
right. There was this one mom, though, that was like, can my daughter stand closer? She's 6 years old. And they were like, why? Well, she just looks big for her age. Okay. If she's physically big for her age, then age shouldn't matter. It's her physical attributes, not her mental attributes, I guess. And anyways, they conceded, and all the other parents were kind of just rolling their eyes.
Yeah.
And they let her daughter stand closer to the cauldron, and she still missed him completely. She would have actually overshot him. She would have actually done better. Yeah. But there's mom interfering and instilling in her child's mind that it's okay
to not follow the rules.
Yeah,
and to break them.
And to make handicaps and concessions for you because you're different.
Yeah.
And while all the other parents whose kids obviously didn't make it because of the number, you knew your kids were in the running based on the count of bones they were in there. But there were some parents whose kids didn't make it at all. They still stuck around and were supporting the kids that made it, whether they knew them or not.
Yeah.
'Cause I know the parents that were clapping for our kids, we didn't know who they were. I'm like, they knew our kids, and there's something we didn't know about. But I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
They did that. But this one mom, as soon as her daughter was done, let's go see what your brother's doing over there. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, she's a poor sport.
Yeah. But, that's the whole culture of, and they were younger, so she might have been raised in that whole participation trophy guard. I just don't agree with that, and it pisses people off if I'm vocal about it. It pisses people off when I talk about the president, too, but I understand. Yeah, I understand that. But when it talks to the fundamentals of how we raise children, of course we're not going to agree with everybody, but I don't know. It baffles me with the whole participation trophy. I would think everybody would agree with that.
Yeah. I was just taken aback with that thing. I don't agree with it. They do it at our girls' softball thing, and I don't agree with it. And I tell them, well, that's just because you played. If you want a trophy, then you're going to have to work harder.
Okay, but that's something I think what you're talking about might be something. I think they don't give them participation trophies, do they?
They'll give them a ribbon.
Okay.
Not a trophy.
But a recognition for being part of the team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay.
But that's what the team party's for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I think there's a difference between giving a kid a ribbon and making him feel like he or she accomplished something, as opposed to hey, let's still show them some attention. I think it takes more effort to do this, but show them the attention they need. Say, hey, you didn't get it this time, but you did a good job, good effort, but these are the things we need to improve on for you to get better.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's more valuable than here's a ribbon for doing really bad?
Well, yeah, because you're setting them up for later in life. Yeah. And with the workforce, sorry, you're just not going to just get the job and be congratulated just because you walked in through the door.
Right.
You know, it's, I don't know.
Does that kind of scare you to see the culture of how we're developing our kids and the future of law enforcement? Because these are future cops.
I know. Yeah, it does.
Can you change it though as adults?
Yeah, because all kids, I mean, at some point they'll be able to make their own decision on their own, and they'll grow from it.
Yeah.
You know, like some people, they're all raised the same way. Like all my girls raised the same way, but they all have so many different personalities. Like the three of them are completely different.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll see what we get.
I don't know how you were prior to your career here, but I was I'm still lazy when it comes to certain things. But like my room it looked like a hoarder's room, like it was messy. Mm-hmm. In high school, you would see like Burger King bags and wrappers and like soda cups with straws still in them. And it wasn't, I don't mind saying, because I know a lot of kids are like that, but you know, I'd wake up and I'd have to like shuffle my feet just to get through the room so I didn't step on something.
Gosh, that's disgusting.
But that's not me now. And nobody taught me that though. Maybe it was a lesson. Maybe my parents did teach me that lesson.
I was clean when I was a kid, but my brother was like you. Okay. All his stuff was all over the floor. It was nasty.
But he's not that way now, right? I
don't know if he still is. I haven't been over to his place in a while.
I think a switch flips when you're responsible for your own things.
Yeah.
Because I knew that if we had guests over, that room would get clean because my parents would be in there cleaning it for me.
Oh my gosh.
I was such a bad kid. I know I was a bad kid. But you know, I think that switch flips though when you have your own job. For some people, when you have your own job and you're responsible for your own family and house and household and all that stuff, that maybe you have to perform better. I just don't know if that happens when you instill upon a kid that they're rewarded for poor performance.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find out. We're finding out now.
Yeah.
We're starting to get the millennial. My second job, I teach at the university, and I had to take a training course on how to interact with millennials.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess, they do that at work too, right? They have some millennial training.
Oh, did they? Okay.
I don't
think I've taken that one yet. But what I got from it is there's a lot of tongue biting and a lot of thinking before you speak when you address someone that you don't agree with because of the way you were raised.
Yeah.
And
is that because you have to walk in a glass house with them?
Yes. It's exactly it.
Because they're too sensitive?
Okay, it's a combination of them being sensitive, but we're in a litigation-happy world, too. They grew up in the whole Larry H. Parker, we'll fight for you.
Yeah.
Did someone hurt your feelings? We awarded you $1.1 million for getting your feelings hurt. And so it's a combination of feelings being fragile and the fact that they're being rewarded now when someone calls them out on the carpet.
Because of loss of accountability.
Loss of accountability and the fact that the courts have agreed with them that we can't bully them.
Yeah.
And I'm not defending bullying them.
Yeah, no.
This is what they define as bullying. If I'm
a disagreement.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're doing a poor job at work and I'm telling you, hey, you need to step it up here, the accusation is that I'm bullying them. And hopefully throughout an investigation, they'll say that, no, I'm actually keeping you accountable for your performance. Right. But at the end of the day, that person's feelings are hurt because I'm picking on that person.
Yeah.
In my head right now, I really wanted to say, oh, no, I'm picking on you.
So that's where the old school mentality comes back.
But if I did that, that's
no.
That's the difference, though. If I say no, listen, I expect a certain level of performance from you. You're a professional. You need to keep up with the rest of your team. But if I say, oh, no, I can't work today because I'm sick, that's bullying.
Right.
But that's what I really want to say.
I know.
Oh, well, the times have changed. And I think for our listeners out there, they can relate to what we're saying, because if you've been in law enforcement in the last 5 to 10 years, you can probably picture a person in your head based on what we're talking about. I can.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can.
But I have the same thing. When I was coming up, some of the old school guys with some of the retired guys now that have whole, handlebar mustaches that were really intimidating watch commanders. When I went to go turn in the booking forms to them, they were really intimidating. And you didn't say anything to them. You just answered their questions.
Right.
But we can't do that now, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I was treated the same way in dispatch.
Yeah. You can't. You have to apologize. I don't know if you want to, but
We can bring it up. I'm good.
Didn't
done over.
you get written up for not saying hello to somebody?
I did. I didn't say hi, and I got written up for it.
Was this I don't know who it was to. Was it someone that was superior to you or
Yes.
So someone that outranked you felt offended because you didn't say hi to that person.
Yes.
Interesting.
On three, I can't remember the third separate occasion, but apparently he counted all of them because he was deeply hurt that I didn't say hi to him. Mind you, we have no like relationship other than just working individuals. That's it. And one time I came back from the gym. I had my headphones still on. And mind you, it's not the tiny headphones. It's the big old Beat headphones that I had over my ears. Right. And at the time, this person was engaged in a conversation with 2 other people. So on top of me not paying attention because I'm listening to my music, he was also engaged. So why am I going to interrupt a conversation that a superior is having with 2 other officers?
Right.
So I kept going. Apparently that broke his heart. So sorry, I'm still a little bitter.
Heartbreaker over here.
And then another time I was walking with my supervisor and we were engaged in a conversation, and I guess he walked past us, but neither one of us had said hi. Mm-hmm. And so, I got written up for it.
That's pretty.
Even though there's no policy on it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess we have policy that's kind of a blanket policy that can be it can fold in there. I don't think you received any discipline in there, right?
No. There was a lot more things that came after that. Being followed and a bunch of other things. So I did like a counter complaint through my human resources, and then it stopped after that.
It was more of a grievance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're right. Yeah. There isn't policy, but it goes to show that there are policies there that exist to keep us civil with each other, to make a work environment not hostile. And that all falls under grievance policies, I guess. So, and that's why we have an HR, human resources. But man, what did HR do 20 years ago?
I don't know.
None of this.
Well, I don't think there really was a need for it because you kind of just handled it within yourselves.
Oh yeah, parking lot fights. We heard stories of parking lot fights. That, guys, and then some of those, like one of the stories I heard was 2 guys were fighting over a girl. This is probably more than like 30 years ago because it was placed in the 80s. They were fighting over a girl. It turns out that they were both. They ended up both not ending up with that girl, and they both ended up best friends. So, but that's how you.
In a strange turn of events.
Well, yeah, but that's how you you hash things out like adults,
right?
I don't say adults because kids that listen now are gonna be like, let's settle things as adults.
Yeah. We want you to duke it out in the back.
I'll have parents call me. You encourage my kids to fight.
But I mean, not about the fighting physically, but that you were able to go up to each other and just say your beef about it and get it done and over with and get it off your back. Yeah. And nowadays you can't do that because you're walking on eggshells because you don't want to hurt feelings. Right. And
speaking of beef, did you happen to notice my brand new display here?
See, so instead of like arguing with you, I just decided to munch down on one of those barbecue sticks.
I don't think we've ever had an argument.
No, we haven't actually.
It's going to happen one day.
Which at some point we need to have a disagreement on one of these podcasts because we have to have different views.
Oh yeah, we're saving that for when our ratings start dropping. But Rugged Meats, guys, if you tuned in last week or on episode 9, shoot, we're in episode 10. Holy crap, we got 10 of these down already, and we haven't fought. Rugged Meats, we were giving praise probably around episode 6 or 7 about our favorite snack, Rugged Meats. And Rugged Meats, they're not in stores currently. You can only get them at ruggedmeats.com. But Rugged Meats looks like, if you're watching on video on YouTube, it looks like a Slim Jim, right? It's a meat stick. But they're so much different than Slim Jims in the fact that they're made out of real meat. They're not the leftovers.
No fillers.
Yeah, no fillers, no nitrates, no gluten, and very low in sodium and high in protein, which makes this a premium product. And, of course, for a premium product, you're going to pay it a little bit more. But for our listeners on the 911 Strong podcast, you can go to ruggedmeats.com and get a discount using code 911strong. That's ruggedmeats.com, code 911 strong.
So instead of biting your tongue, bite into a beef stick.
Yeah. Talk nonsense to me.
Maybe that'll just turn them away from you. They'll go in a different direction.
I'll have to buy a lot of meat sticks. Thanks for the meat sticks, Rugged Meats. They really came in handy this last camping trip.
They did.
Yeah. But when we were pre-gaming this show, we were really on the fence of whether or not we were going to talk about the suicides and the bullying because it's a sensitive subject.
It is.
And obviously, we have a lot of listeners from New York, NYPD, that may know these sergeants. But it's a real thing. I mean, 8 suicides in 1 month, and then 10 for 2019 just from one agency. That's a lot. And obviously, we don't know all the reasons and the answers as to what happened.
Yeah.
But at least with the last 2 incidents that were posted, it had something to do with bullying. So maybe officers aren't aware of that they're bullying.
Maybe not.
I don't know. You guys don't have locker room chatter, but in the guys' locker room, we're always egging each other on. I mean, one of the guys we went camping with, I've known him since high school. We're best friends. We were in each other's weddings, and we're still good friends to this day. But we always egg each other on. We'll talk crap about each other.
Yeah.
But that's his love language to me, and that's my love language to him. We're very competitive that way. But I can see if he tried to do, that because that's his language of
his character.
Well, to me.
Yeah.
But because of that, he may want to be close to someone else, and he may think that that's how he can develop a friendship with someone. Because in his head, he's like, hey, if you can take me poking fun at you, then you are cool with me.
Yeah.
But, man, I hope I do the same thing. I hope none of us ever get to the point where we do it to the wrong person.
Yeah.
And it turns into a very negative thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
this is another discussion, but I think the reason why people turn to suicide is they don't have hope. And when you have hope or know that there's something greater to your existence other than what you're doing in this life, then it's easy to say, I'm just going to pull the plug and end it early, not knowing that there's a life after this. But there's a life after this. Have we talked about my dad before on this?
I don't think so.
I don't know if we did or not, but not to get too deep into it. My dad committed suicide, and my dad wasn't a believer. My dad was one of those guys that knew the Bible inside and out. And he studied the Bible religiously. He knew the Bible better than I did, but I think he did it so he could disprove the Bible. He never went to church with us. The only time I ever saw him in church was at like a wedding or something. But my mom and I, we were the only ones that went to church. And my dad, on his suicide note, had said that he was, I forget how old he was when he died. He was close to 60, I think. And he said, well, I'm at this point in my life, and this is it. There's nothing else to look forward to, and I don't have enough energy left to improve on what I have. So he ended it, and that's sad to me because it's like, why fight the faith and the hope of knowing that there's something greater than us, greater to this life than this world is giving us right now. Yeah. And I think it's just lack of faith, lack of knowing that there's something better. Because of that, it's easy to pull the plug. And unfortunately, I don't know if these people knew God or not, but if anybody out there is contemplating suicide or has some depressive thoughts, I can tell you from a person that has gone through not just my dad's death tragically, but my mom's murder within a 2-year period, that I had every excuse in the world to just say, I can be angry at the world and, God did this. How could he let... But no, instead, I coped with it but my own way and talked about it. And I still believe that things happen for a reason. I believe that this was God's plan. Even though it happened in such a violent way, I'm not angry at God for it. Was I angry at the situation? Of course, I'm human. But I wasn't going to, I had to have perspective on it and know that there's a life waiting for me that's better than this and that I'm responsible for the life that we have here. So I can't do to my children what my dad did to me. Yeah. And, so if anybody's out there listening, thinking that whatever you're going through is overwhelming, just know that you're listening to a guy right now that went through hell and back, and I'm still here telling you that I have so much to live for. And I think if you don't think that there's anything to live for, message me. You can message Kristen. Kristen's a believer as well. And we have no problem ministering to you, talking to you, and maybe just even listening to you. So you can reach us on our social media accounts. It's pretty easy. You can just Google or search Aram, Choe, or Kristen Jauregui. Well, maybe not so much Jauregui.
Yeah.
But Kristen's at Dispatcher Kristen on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm at 911 Strong on the same platforms. But the last thing I want someone to feel is that there's no hope in the world, especially knowing that you can recover from a horrible experience and thrive. I'm thriving more today than I ever have.
Yeah.
Opportunities that existed for me today didn't exist prior to those incidents, and I think I'm a stronger person because of it, and I think people recognize that, and the fact that I have a testimony now is helpful to others. And who knows, if you're out there going through something and you can recover from this, you might have a testimony that can help others, and that can be the reason for your existence here. Maybe it's
you're put here for a purpose.
Yeah. It's okay. We're kind of getting sad here. I don't want people not being able to drive because tears and stuff, but that's pretty much it. That's I think that wraps up our episode, Kristen.
I think so.
Yeah. I hate ending it.
I don't know where else to go from there. But yeah, you are needed. You are wanted. You do mean something to somebody.
Yeah.
Whether you feel that or not. I know you're overcome with emotion, but you were meant to be here.
Yeah.
And you're meant to keep going.
And it's hard for people who don't believe to understand that. And I guess that's the first step, is understanding that our existence here is not temporary.
Yeah.
And once we can get through that, then we can begin to understand.
There's so much more to life.
Exactly. All right. Well, that wraps up our episode here at the 911 Strong podcast. As always, we thank you again for tuning into us. You just never know what you're going to get from our show. Sometimes we're laughing up a storm, and sometimes we are getting really deep. But that's the beauty of having a non-format podcast. I love the fact that we don't have a producer or sponsors that tell us what we can or can't do on our show. And we're about as raw and real as you can get. And I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. So that's episode 10.
Yay.
All right. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to the 911 Strong podcast with Aram and Kristen. You can subscribe to the 911 Strong podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and many other fine podcast platforms. You can also see the in-studio recording on YouTube. Just search 911 Strong. We value your opinion. Please leave us a review, and we would really appreciate a 5-star rating. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to tell your friends about us.